All right, Mark asks, I'm very interested in retro pop. You made the suggestions to me to research artists like Bruno Mars, and I have a whole folder of them in Apple Music. Any comments or tips regarding libraries? Um, well, yeah, so the retro pop thing, basically, you need to look for libraries probably that are working more. Advertising is probably going to be the biggest area you're going to see most placements with this sort of, modern pop with like a retro funk throwback feel to it. So advertising clients that you'll see with the library will probably be really, really good for you. Also, reality TV, I think, can also really do well. So upbeat, fun, funky pop music can really play well with a lot of different types of reality TV shows. So I think between those two, you probably would find a home for that style of music. I would say if you're going to be creating instrumental music, which is probably going to be very acceptable and fine for whatever library you work with, you have to make sure though that with a Bruno Mars song, his vocals are really carrying the entire forward momentum of the track, right? So that like when there's lyrics and a hook and a melody and then there's harmonies and other things, that's kind of all creating that forward momentum with the track that allows you to get hooked into it and to feel like you are going to go along for the ride. So when you take out vocals and you're left with just an instrumental mix, now it's much more challenging because you don't have the lyrics to tell a story. You don't have the vocals to kind of keep the interest moving forward in the track. So what do you do? Well, there's a lot of moving parts to this, so I can't really condense it into a short little answer here for you. But obviously, all the tutorials that are in Sync Academy are designed to help you create that momentum, that interest, and to constantly build your track up so that as it's moving forward, we don't get a feeling like we are stuck on a treadmill, like the same idea is being looped all the time, or maybe some progression that you created is really, really short. It's like 1 bar long, and then we just keep hearing that same one. These are very, very common mistakes and issues that I'm hearing, especially with our pro feedback service, as I've been reviewing a lot of members' tracks, and a lot of our pros have been telling me this too. Is it's not so much about producers' skills or their ability to write great melodies or compositions or chord progressions. Is just that they've been kind of in this program of create a 1 bar progression, chord progression for 1 bar and a melody, and then copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. Okay, I'm going to add this. I'm going to add this. I add a little bit of a shaker. I add this. I add that. But it still feels very, very repetitive because we just keep hearing the same notes and the same idea over and over again. So one thing that you can do as an easy fix for that to ensure that you're not being too repetitive is just stretch out your composition length, right? So instead of just doing 1 bar, stretch it out to 4 bars. I would say even going out to 8 bars so that you have this kind of longer progression and even a chord progression that's a little more complex. And it needs to feel like it's connected though. You don't want to just throw random chords in there just to add different stuff. It needs to feel like it all works together. But if we don't repeat that entire section for 8 bars, then it doesn't feel like we're getting stuck anywhere. And by the time we get to that 8th bar and we come back around to start the progression again, now we can build up the drums, or we can start adding strings or a horn section or new guitars or whatever it is, right? So your track can naturally grow and develop. And by the time we're at 2 or 3 minutes, which is about the length you want most of your tracks to be, it feels like it's building properly. It's not too repetitive, and it's creating that forward momentum that a lead vocal would have. On top of that, I would basically just make sure that you are always including some kind of a lead element in your track. It doesn't need to be there the entire time through the track, but definitely when we hit a chorus, I need some lead melody coming in there. Maybe when we get to the second verse, you want to introduce a new lead that we didn't hear on the first one, right? So we built that up. And then on the last chorus, it needs to be there, and there needs to be more things happening. So just imagine that you're always kind of building up your track with some sort of a melodic, catchy lead element. Could be horns, could be guitar, could be a synth. Depends on what your track is and what you want to do. So hopefully that gives you somewhere to go with that style of music. But it's definitely extremely licensable for sure if you want to go down that path.